Antia Boyd
and Brody.
We're the creators of the Magnetize The Man Summit. So really excited for you to jump right into the next interview because we have created this for you to stop attracting emotionally unavailable men, overcome your trust issue, and so much more. So you attract that right man for you that makes you feel seen, cherished, and supported.
Can't wait to see you inside the interview and get you on the path to magnetizing your man once and for all. See you there. Look forward to it.
Mwah! Hello, I'm Antia Boyd, leader of the Magnetize The Man Summit, where single, successful women crack the attraction code and live their happily ever after. And what would be the happily ever after without Carol Allen?
Well, mine would be difficult. I don't know about anybody else's, but you're so sweet. Hi, everybody. Hi, Antia.
So Carol is a dear friend of mine and such a powerful and influential astrologer and relationship expert. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that combo before. I certainly haven't. And I'm so excited for you. And you don't even know what tweet you're in for today, hearing all the tips on how to know, how to read the stars, right? Because you hear all the time, is love in the stars for me? I don't think it is in the stars for me. So,
you know what I loved? Even Prince Harry, when he was talking about meeting Meghan Markle, that it was as though the stars were all aligned. I loved that.
Yes.
And then in the 39 plays by William Shakespeare, he mentions astrology at least 100 times. He talks about, you know, being under star-crossed lovers, and so it's definitely in the zeitgeist, astrology, and it has been for millennia. Yeah.
So great, Carol. And I'm really curious to hear, you've been doing this work for now almost like 3 decades.
Yeah.
So what, you know, forever, right? You know.
Yeah.
We won't reveal your age.
I don't care. I'm 85.
Yes, totally.
If you're gonna lie about your age, you always want to add years so that people go, "Oh my God, you look amazing!" Right? You don't want to cut years off because then they're like, "She looks like crap," right? So,
oh, that's the tip. That's the tip.
That's the tip.
Write that down. You know?
When you're on Match.com or on Tinder, light up.
But like, tell us like a little bit, how did you get into this, specifically really having a combination of astrology and relationships?
Oh boy. Well, I think all of us are our own first customer, right? And so I was on my own journey to understand my own life and my own love life. And I was, you know, raised in hippy dippy California in the 1970s. So we were weird, all of us, for the most part, and I had very open-minded, very liberal parents. My father was actually on the board of directors of a metaphysical university, and a lot of his dear friends were psychics and healers, even though he put on a suit and tie and went off to be a stockbroker every morning. So long story short, I went through my quarter life crisis. I went through the, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? Where's life headed? And I had a huge crash in my early 20s for the first time really in my life. Life had been pretty cushy until then. And so I went to an astrologer, and it was so helpful and so powerful and so inspiring that I wanted to study it. And so I started to study it. Well, what was amazing was it wasn't just any old astrology. It was Indian astrology from India. And it turns out that there are so many kinds of astrology. There's Hebrew, there's Celtic, there's Babylonian, there's Nepalese, there's Korean, there's Chinese, of course. We all knew that. There's Celtic, there's Mayan. And so I happened to meet an Indian astrologer at a party, and a friend had gone to him for forever. And I had this session with him. He explained the quarter life crisis. He told me exactly how I was feeling. He told me why. He told me when it started. He told me, better yet, when it would end. And he gave me so much peace of mind and so much hope. But what he also gave me was a life raft to hold on to about love, because I was in also the desert. I was like a totally starry-eyed, no pun intended, romantic. And I had had this epic first love experience. I'd had like, you know, all the stars aligned in high school with this total bastard, right? This totally like screwed up alcoholic other kid I had no tools to handle how to navigate a relationship, and certainly not a relationship with somebody with a lot of issues, right? And so, but I think when we're young, especially, and when we're romantics, we think love will conquer all, and we think our love will heal, and we think we're going to save someone, and then if we really love them, that means we're supposed to be with them. So I don't know if the audience just heard those three things, right? Love will conquer all, our love will heal, and if I love this person, that means I'm supposed to be with them. Danger. Back away from the computer, right? Love doesn't conquer all, and your love can't heal them, even though it might be nice and it might kind of heal them. They have to do their own work, and they also have to want to heal. And then just because you love them doesn't mean diddly squat, right? It just means love is this beautiful, spontaneous emotion that happens without our effort, right? Without our even permission, right? Woo! Without our permission, without our choosing. Scientists have studied this, like, what is love, right? And I know I'm taking a huge sidebar. I will come back. But so I got really, really hurt very, very young, and then went into a long desert. And this astrologer said, "Oh, you've been in a long desert. It's totally going to work out. It's going to work out when you're 30. Now I was 23 at the time. And I was like, 30, I'm going to be ancient, right? Now, of course, I laugh now that I'm Grandma Moses, right? I think that's hilarious. But anyway, and I was going to prove him wrong. I was going to play Beat the Planets, and I was going to, like, you know, overcome that prediction. And of course, by 30, I was exhausted and bloody and broken, and I'd been crawling over glass on my eyeballs, you know, and boom, it all came together and it all happened. And in the interim, I had started studying, and I became an astrologer. And what I quickly noticed was 99.9% of my clients were just like I had been, and all they wanted to talk about was love. And even if they would call and say, "Oh, I want to talk about my mammogram results," or, "Oh, I want to talk about, you know, my real estate transaction," it would always turn into a "tell me about Bob" conversation, or "tell me about, like, where is he" conversation, and what am I doing wrong? And what I quickly noticed too was that the stars weren't enough. And in my own life, the stars hadn't been enough, even though they are sort of the larger plan and the larger blueprint. And it is like, I'm going to mix my metaphors, I'm sorry. It is like having a train schedule, and it is like having, you know, a topographical map of your life. Topographical, I guess I should say. It's you still also have to learn what it takes to have great relationships, and what it takes to understand whatever gender you're into, right? And what feels like love to you might not feel like love to someone else. And so it is so worth our time to actually study relationships. And relationship research has been so exciting in the last few decades. I mean, like, thank God for nerds, right? And for big brain academics, and for people who love putting us all in petri dishes and then data collecting. God bless those people. I can't do it, but thank God somebody does, right? And they really have found that there are these patterns and rules that really do work for 90% of us, right? So in giving readings, so often I would put the chart aside and I would say, okay, so listen, I get that you want to blame Saturn or your moon being in Virgo or whatever it is for what's been happening, but you just told me a story that I think you could have responded a lot better to, and I think you could have handled differently. And I would love to share some suggestions about how to handle that kind of thing in the future, or what to do maybe to resuscitate that thing or get out of that thing, or whatever the situation called for. And so often, Antia, and I know you experience this in your work, people would call me and say, oh my God, that saved the day, right? Like that was the most valuable part of my time with you. And so people started asking me to coach them before I knew what coaching was. They would say, the reading was great, but I want to call you once a week, or I want to call you, you know, because I had taken it upon myself to learn all this stuff. I had chosen to figure out men, that's the gender I happen to like, right? And figure out communication and figure out stages of relationship and personality types beyond just like astrology, right? And how to know what I needed and how to communicate my needs and how to do so in a healthy way. Because the error that women make, and I'm assuming mostly women are watching this, right?
Yes, all single women.
Single women seeking men. Okay. Ladies. The big mistake we make with men, the reason men of the world think, all the men of the world think we're crazy, right? They literally think we're crazy. They think we are so complicated, so exhausting, right? Freud, right? The father of psychology, right? The father of analysis said, what do women want, right? He couldn't figure it out. Well, I could have told him, right? You could have told him. But the problem is we don't tell men what we want. We stuff it. We pretend we're fine. We try to get along and be like attractive and that cool girl and peaceful. And then our hair is on fire, right? And we become like, when we don't get what we want, we become banshees, right? Or we become needy and clingy. And men are so confused by this. They are not like that. Right? They just say what they need. They just say what they think. They just ask for what they want for the most part. Now, speaking in sweeping generalizations, we all know guys that are more sensitive and, you know, don't speak up and blah, blah. But I'm talking about 90% of us. Okay. And so women, we need to be way better at communicating. We need to be way more on our own side. We need to trust ourselves way more. And we need to believe our feelings and then be okay with our feelings instead of going, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. And I shouldn't want what I want. And, la, 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 la. And listen, I'm not making fun of women to use like a negative voice like that. So, I still have all that in me too. I totally do. And it just doesn't work. And then we don't have honest relationships either. So even when we get the guy and even when he loves us, right? If we're not really showing up fully, then we're going to actually fall out of love with him because the intimacy will die because there's no like real connection happening. So it really comes down to know thyself, just like it says on the Oracle of Delphi, right? To bring this back to astrology, people are like, well, duh, why do I need you if this is all not about astrology? It so is, because your chart says who you are, what, you know, some of us are we're more sensitive than others. Some of us are more extroverted than others. Some of us are more social than others. You know, so you need to know who you are and you need to know what you need in a relationship. And then you need to not try to talk yourself out of it, right? And then you need to actually hold out for that and look for that and communicate that stuff so that you then don't choose someone who can't provide it and who their needs are at odds with yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's so most of us need help for this. Most of us need professional help for this. I certainly have hired a small army of help with all of this. And so that's what made my readings really come alive and people ask for coaching, is all that help that I had received and all that study that I had done enabled me. And so then I started giving workshops, and then I started writing books, and then I started creating, you know, astrology reports and calendars and all these things to help people do it all for themselves. So you don't need to sit in my living room or hang out with me or call me once a week. But if you want to, you can.
You can.
So,
you might want to, you know.
Yeah, you might. You never know. It's super fun. We have a great time. I provide lots of chocolate.
Oh,
potato chips. Yes. Sure. Whatever, however you like it. Sure.
Oh, that's awesome. So what do you believe in women picking the right partner based on zodiac signs? Like, how important is that compared to also him being healthy, secure attachment, things like that, you know?
Oh my gosh. Pick a guy of any sign who's healthy with secure attachment over a specific sign. Like, please. So I wrote a book called Love is in the Stars, and it was funny because for 15 years I had said I would never write an astrology book, like never. There are so many really well written, really, really well researched, really dense academic astrology books out there. There are so many great ones. And that sign stuff, nobody will ever top Linda Goodman, right? Like nobody will ever beat, you know, Sun Signs, Love Signs, all her books. She's the only astrologer that I know of that's a New York Times bestseller, right? So, and I wrote a whole chapter that's basically like, forget it. Forget about sun signs. When it comes to relationships, they don't matter very much. They really don't. So please, ladies, if you've had a bad experience with a Leo or a Scorpio or a Virgo or whoever, who cares? That was one bad apple in that sign. Listen, Antia, if there was a sign that we should all avoid because they're bad people or they're bad partners or they're difficult, then women would be getting C-sections and planning like birth, right?
I love that.
One Scorpio can be like that, you know, controlling, like brooding, resentment holding loser we've all heard of. And one can be like the wisest, most loving, most, you know, authentic. It all depends on how the whole chart goes together, not your sun sign. Right. I wish it was as simple. I wish, you don't know how much I wish that I could have just a business where I'm like, hey, Scorpio, you should only go out with Capricorn. When I read that stuff, I'm like, does this writer really think this? Because it's not true. But if they really think that, my hat is off to them that they've created books and work around. I mean, it would be so nice. Now, what is true, though, is, again, I told you I do Vedic astrology from India, from ancient India. And moon sign to moon sign is critical in people. The sun indicates like your behavior, your identity, your career, what you show the world, has a lot to do with what you look like, your health, your vitality. The moon sign, when you were born, is your emotional indicator and your psychological indicator and reveals the most how you relate. And there is a technique from India that they've used for centuries, possibly millennia, we don't know, to arrange marriages. And it is astonishing. When I learned this technique 20 years ago, it took my readings from like here to here. And I cannot tell you how accurate it is. It is so phenomenal. And it breaks the relationship down into 15 steps. And it describes, can you get your needs met? Do you feel that magic? Can you keep the peace? Does your life support you being together? Now, none of these things have anything to do with love. Remember how I said, just because you feel love doesn't mean you're supposed to be together, right? So we've all been that miserable girl, right? Who's loved a guy, but been miserable, right? Because maybe he was unavailable. Maybe he was sleeping with our sister. Maybe he was under like a keg all the time. That was my boyfriend, right? He was power kegging and then under the keg. You know, they're just so cute. I don't know what my problem is. Yeah. Anyway, thank God I got over that. But yeah, so this technique really, it parses it all out and explains point by point by point. Do you have a healthy balance of power? Do you have chemistry? Is there a foundation of friendship? Do you feel that magic? And it's so amazing, Antia, to explain this to people. Just all that, like, noise people have about like, I'm failing and this shouldn't be so hard, and why do I respond this way, and why does he respond this way, and if he really loved me he would do this, and if I was more together I would do that. When I look at two people's charts and I just say to a total stranger or a virtual stranger, wow, are you really angry together? Because you guys can't keep the peace. And wow, does your circumstances always get in the way? Does his mother hate you? And is his job always taking him away? And do you get sick around him constantly? Like, people's eyes just bug out. And then they're so relieved, because then the realization is, wow, there's a larger system at work here.
Yes.
This isn't all on me. This isn't all my fault. There's a greater story than my will and understanding. And so that's, if everyone listening today doesn't learn one thing, I want them to know your life isn't all your fault, and your love life isn't all your fault. And how you respond to someone and how they respond to you isn't all your fault. And I love that saying, what's happening is your answer. What's happening is your answer. I don't usually tell people anything they don't already know. What I do is I give people the confidence to believe what they already know.
Yes, right.
I help people go, wow, I'm really right to feel that way. And wow, I'm not imagining things. And wow, this isn't because I'm failing. And this isn't going to change. Or here's the thing that can change. Here's how I can work with this. Here's how I can make this better. Let me try this stuff and then see if it's good enough. And then see if I'm getting enough of what I want. That's what I love to be able to give to people, is all of that.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, don't ever use anything like astrology or numerology or phrenology, any of it, to make your decisions for you. All of this is to inform your own experience and your own feelings, but never abdicate your power like that to anybody, any coach. I don't care how celebrated they are, how much money they've made, how many clients they have, how much money you spent to talk to them. I don't care. Like, always go inward, because even that wrong guy and that bad experience might be leading you to something you're supposed to have or go through, right? A lot of people get their amazing kids from those bozo guys they were with, right? So yeah. So all of our journeys are like special and important, and none of it's a failure and none of it's wrong in my work, in my worldview. So.
Well, I love that, because I always tell people that actually we're not simple, we're really complex, and that your work really, your approach just really helps that, right? And just like, okay, you are complex, and here's sort of the context in which you work, right? Because oftentimes we function just everyday life, right? But we don't know what context we're living from. And so what I'm understanding from what you just shared is that now I'm understanding, oh, that's the context I'm living in. That's why whatever, right? Like I feel explosive or whatever, right? I don't have a hot temper, just between you and me.
Oh, I can get spicy too. I know all about that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And what's like one tip that you can give the women, since we're coming to the end of the interview, when it comes through like love being in the stars and, and I'm really holding out for the right person?
Gosh, well, the thing I really want everyone to know is, first of all, half the population are what I call late bloomers in love, where the true person, the right person, the person where it all comes together, they don't meet till they're older, till they're at least like 35 usually, or if they do meet them before then, that's really when it starts going well. So the main tip I have is, first of all, I want to acknowledge everybody for being here. I want to high five them and fist pump them. Fist bump them through the screen. For finding a great resource like you, and for recognizing that this is an area of our lives where we do need encouragement, we do need information, we do need support, and just the fact that they're here, I have a lot of hope and faith for them. Just the fact that they're here, and know that anyone you know in a great relationship, me, you, all my colleagues, like everyone I know, almost none of us was at that magical accident. Those magical accident people have screwed the rest of us up so royally, right? Because we think when we're like trudging along and we're like on Tinder and we're on Match and we're going on setups and we're, you know, like TikTok, we think it means love isn't meant for us. And then we make up stories and we make up narratives.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make up stories, don't make up narratives. And the thing this has to do with astrology is your chart really does show when you're in what are called seasons of love and when you're not. And when you're not, it doesn't go well and it doesn't flow and it isn't fun and you do get exhausted. And so if you're experiencing that right now, either reevaluate your strategy and your support and your information, or take a break. Take a break. But don't wait for it to magically happen. You know, I have a Facebook group, Antia, with all the women that have worked with me and taken my workshops and things. And lately they've been talking about like how many communications they have to have with a guy before they actually get to a date on like a Tinder or a Match. How many men they have to connect with, how many exchanges, blah, 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 blah. And it's literally like on average, it's at least 30, right? It's at least
that's
30
ridiculous.
like guys, 30 exchanges. It's like, and a lot of them, it's in the 60s. And it was such a relief for everybody because they were telling themselves, oh, I'm not popular at this. I'm not good at this. You know, God has cursed me. I'm in a permanent desert, you know, the single woman salute, the like, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So just keep going and know you're not alone. And if you want it, it's meant for you. If you want it, it's because it's coming.
Because it's really, and you know what, like I agree with that. And Carol, I was single like my whole life before I met my husband, right?
I remember your story. I remember that.
So it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with where you're at right now. And gosh, if I'd known my chart, who knows, maybe I would have just spent my 20s, would have been, there's nothing happening with love. Although all those psychics and everybody is saying, he's coming next year, he's coming and whisking you away. And
yeah,
it's like this, oh my God, if
I hear that all the time. And I've had amazing psychics, and I don't mean to bash psychics, but people call me all the time. And I go, oh, my psychic said he's the one. And I'm like, honey, he's a mess. Okay. I don't care if your psychic said he's the one. What's happening is your answer. And right now he's not returning your calls. So can we quit focusing on this bozo, please? Like, right? So, yeah. But I mean, look at you. You're like a goddess and you're so lovely and you're so warm and you're so enthusiastic. And, you know, and so that's the other tip they should take away is if you had a hard time, right? It's like, this stuff is not for the faint of heart. Yeah. But if you really want it, just keep going, but keep going without all that drama and noise and misery, because there's what happens to us, but then there's how we frame and respond to what happens to us.
Right.
And if you're going out with curiosity, like, oh, I'm curious to see what'll happen, as opposed to I'm going to meet him tonight or my life is over.
Yes, right.
You know, or this is the year. People call me all the time and they go, this is the year. And I say, well, who said? Did a Vedic astrologer tell you that? Because if not, I don't think you should believe that. And it's so funny. I have a calendar that has symbols for every day. That's like it's like your horoscope every day in symbols. It helps you like best days for travel, best days for career, money, blah, blah. Well, people will call me and they'll go, oh my gosh, I'm so excited because my calendar has hearts this year and that means I'm finding the one. And I'm like, who said that? Like the legend does not say that. The video the calendar comes with does not say that. Like the audio does not flipping say that. And the legend says this calendar is not predictive. Those are just the best days to socialize and go out. And if you're going to meet somebody this year, those are the best days. Like people make up stories so much. And they just torture themselves. So please, everybody, here's my tip. Stop torturing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're an anxious attachment style, because you will look for every little nook and cranny, every little proof that has you like, okay, he's here today. And so you can have your certainty. So absolutely.
Well, and that it's so great you brought it back to attachment style, because what is that? That's us trying to feel control. Mm-hmm. Trying to feel safe. We're trying to feel some semblance of like, I can like create outcomes, right? And it's all about control. And honestly, like, give up the reins, let go of control, but do your best. Don't give up the reins and lean back and do nothing. No, do your best, do your part, and just be curious and don't torture yourself. So I gave you 17 tips and it took me 27 minutes to say like one last thing. So
yes,
I apologize, everybody. I do go on and on.
I'm sure the ladies are so grateful for all your wisdom and your invaluable gifts that you're bringing to the world, Carol, in the way that you do. So I just really appreciate your being on today. And so for the ladies who are like, gosh, I mean, I'm just eating all of this up, you know, but it's like, I need more, right? Like, so more, Carol, more, you know, like. Right?
So do I give them like a place to go or a free book? What should I do?
Yeah, what do you have to offer them?
Oh gosh, so many things. Well, I have a really fun newsletter that I've worked so hard on that I'm really proud of at loveisinthestars.com. And I have all my reports and my calendar and like, are you compatible? Are you in the desert? You know, I have a report that's like an "Are you in the desert" report. And when the hell do you get the hell out? Like, where is the promised land? When do you find it? And then I have a capacity report, which tells you, can a guy be a good boyfriend to anybody? Because you might have compatibility to the moon, but this guy might be trouble, or he just might be unavailable somehow. And understanding all that on the front end, or understanding all that before you get too far along, can be the biggest like help to your heart and your journey, right? So all of that is at loveisinthestars.com, loveisinthestars.com. And then I have a free book. I have a free book that's really fun called Becoming the Woman Your Dream Man Wants. And it's some of my favorite advice for singles. So if they go to rightmanreport.com, they can download the book there and then learn more about the compatibility report right there. So yeah, so those are some fun ways to come and play with me. And I'm all over. I'm obnoxious. I'm a summit slut, so they'll see me around.
Summit slut. And ladies, you know, it's really a treat. Every written piece that you'll see, every spoken piece you see of Carol, I mean, you just, you know, you can't put it down. So I just really highly recommend.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Signing up for her newsletter and for her book and, you know, all the other juicy goodies that she has coming. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today, Carol.
Thank you, Antia. And God bless you, everybody. Keep going. He's out there. He's lonely too. Give the guy a break. Keep going.
Yay. Awesome. All right, ladies. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Was that absolutely delicious? We just love how every single expert has those juicy pieces of wisdom for you to enjoy. Look, if you want to own the entire Magnetize the Man series, we invite you to get our Magnetize the Man VIP All Access package. Not only will you own the entire video series, but also you will get our Magnetize the Man Masterclass that teaches you the 3-step formula, step by step, on how to attract the right man for you. You also get some other juicy secret trainings and a one-on-one call with me where we personalize your individual journey to attract that right man for you as soon as possible. So look, to get that, click the link below that says get access now, and you get it all. Own the entire series, including all the juicy bonuses, well worth over $1,400 for nearly the fraction of the cost. All right, we will see you in the next interview.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.
Mwah.